It's no secret that the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is probably one of the best phones that Google has made. With new flagships coming out like the OnePlus 13 and Samsung's S25 series being announced in the coming weeks, is this phone still worth the purchase? If you're new to the channel, my name is Alex and I'm an art director, photographer, and content creator who loves tech. Hopefully that gives you a bit of background and insight into how I use my devices. To be completely transparent, Google did send me this phone to test out and create content for. However, they did not sponsor this video and they have no say in this whatsoever. All of the opinions are my own. As someone who loves tech and goes through a ton of phones, my current daily carry is the Samsung S24 Ultra and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, both of which I've purchased with my own money, so I'm trying to stay as unbiased as possible in all of my videos. That being said, I hope this video will be helpful and provide some value, because flagships these days are getting really expensive. Although the Pixel line does tend to go on sale, the Pixel 9 Pro XL is still nearly $1,000 US, and that's a lot of money. So let's get into this video and see if this phone is still worth the purchase. The build quality of this device is much improved over the previous generations. It feels hefty and premium in the hand. I can honestly say it's on par with other flagships from Samsung and Apple. The frosty matte glass on the back and shiny metal rails resemble jewelry, and I like the squared off edges. Personally, I would have loved matte rails all the way around, and if you're someone like me who doesn't like to use a case on their phone, the shiny edges definitely help with grip. Just know that this phone is slippery, and it will slide off of surfaces if they're not flat. And the biggest issue when it comes to build quality for Pixel phones in the past has finally been fixed. There was this hollow feeling in the screen every time when you tap on it, and if you've used the Pixel 7 or Pixel 8 before, then you'll know what I'm talking about. The Pixel 9 is solid, and there's really no flex or hollow feeling anymore. Now getting into the real meat of this video, the camera system. The Pixel series is well known for having amazing cameras, and the trend definitely continues with the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Here's some POV footage as I use this device to capture some content. I like doing these segments because you can easily see how this phone performs in various real-life shooting conditions. Keep in mind, all of these photos are edited right on the device using Lightroom Mobile with my preset system, linked in the description. I visited the Patterson Great Falls National Historical Park and thought it was a great area to test out some of the cameras on this phone. As I was headed down to the lower level, I noticed this archway at the bottom of the steps. Looking through the archway, I loved the way the light was shining on the orange leaves, so I crouched down to frame up this shot using the telephoto lens. Someone just happened to be walking through the doorway, and I liked this shot a lot. However, the composition could still be better, so I repositioned slightly and used the zoom on the wide angle instead. Now I like this framing a lot better, and I was surprised at how good it looked because it was zoomed in quite a bit. So here you can see I wanted to test out the long exposure feature, where the Pixel is able to blur moving subjects and provide this long exposure effect. Best of all, I love how it allows you to use any lens with this mode. So here is a left and right comparison, and you can see how smooth that water looks with the long exposure. It really is a cool effect, and definitely one of my favorite shooting modes on the Pixel. At the same spot, I noticed our shadows being casted in the water, and I wanted to see if I could capture it. By default, the phone was overexposing the frame, so I opened up the manual controls and lowered the exposure a bit. It was still pretty tricky to capture, but I'm glad these manual controls are quick to use because it allows me to see which settings work best and try a few different ones. This ended up being the best shot of the bunch, and I really like how it looks after a quick edit in Lightroom. As I was about to leave, I noticed someone walking along the rocks by the water and thought that this was a great opportunity to test out the telephoto zoom. Now this image is nothing special, but I'm surprised by how good it looks. There appears to be a good amount of detail, and it doesn't even look over processed or over sharpened, which is what you would expect from a zoomed in shot like this. Now I'm exploring the other side of the park, and there are a few more smaller waterfalls. I really like this composition with the warm orange grass in the foreground contrasting with the blue sky up top. However, the waterfalls look a bit muted, but it's easy to make them a bit more vibrant in Lightroom. Once again, for this shot, I'm using the manual controls to try and capture this rainbow. It's kind of hard to see in this POV footage, but it's these moments where manual controls are so important because the phone may not realize what you're trying to expose for, so it may not capture the scene perfectly. Being able to dial in those settings make it so much easier to capture your vision. Now let's take a look at some video samples. All of these are unedited and straight out of the device. Overall, I'm very impressed with these shots. Sometimes the autofocus gets a bit confused and hunts around, so that's an area that I hope to see improvement in. However, all of the colors look pretty natural and the stabilization is really good. However, I still think the video quality overall could still be improved because it is inconsistent. Like this clip taken at Penning's farm, the entire frame looks pretty washed out, and even the photo looks kind of dull. I think the stabilization is much better than the Pixel 8 Pro, and the motion and subtle panning looks smooth and natural. For medium light indoor shots, the footage still looks pretty clean. There really isn't that much noticeable noise, and colors still look vibrant. I really love working with these 50 megapixel RAW files because there's tons of flexibility in post to crop and edit them to your own style. Lastly, let's see how this camera performs at low light. This segment was captured in an indoor omakase restaurant, which was fairly dimly lit. You can tell there's significantly more noise compared to those outdoor shots. And depending on which camera was used, the video quality also differs. Overall, the wide camera is still able to produce the best looking colors and retain those details, especially when it comes to photos. I'm really surprised that these were low light shots taken without flash. But as you can see, the telephoto quality definitely takes a hit. There's more noise, less detail, and the color is not as accurate. Overall, the footage is still usable and definitely a step up from the previous generation. I just hope that they can keep pushing on their video quality. As you can see, the camera system is extremely impressive. And something that is underrated or underappreciated about this camera system is the fact that you can shoot in 50 megapixel RAWs across every lens. On the surface, it may not seem like a huge deal, but if you're a pro photographer or someone who's used to shooting with a mirrorless camera, then you'll know having 50 megapixel RAWs across the focal range will definitely help streamline your workflow and help you apply your settings across all your shots. I also love to crop and reframe in post, so having that flexibility with 50 megapixels definitely helps. Again, it's not a huge feature, but it's something that's important to me, and I just want to point it out in case it also matters to you. Of course, we can't talk about tech in 2025 without the mention of AI. The Pixel 9 Pro XL has tons of advanced AI features, and honestly, this is probably one of the main reasons that this phone will stay relevant for years to come. On top of its already refined software suite, Google is constantly pushing out new updates and feature drops. So since this phone came out, it's only gotten better over time, which is a pretty big deal compared to other phones that tend to get slower and laggier as time goes on. One of the most improved and one of my most used AI features is Gemini. When this phone first came out, Gemini was pretty buggy and pretty useless. I tended to use the regular Google Assistant. However, I'm happy to say after a few updates, Gemini has become much more useful and integrated into the device, and they've really fixed a lot of those early bugs. I especially like Gemini Live, where you're able to talk to it and chat like a normal conversation. This is especially helpful when I'm trying to brainstorm and come up with new ideas for a video, or for a more practical use, it can help you come up with shopping lists and travel planning. Of course, there are still certain limitations, and Google's AI is pretty locked down in terms of what it can do. But given its track record, I'm sure it will be constantly improving over time, and I'm really curious to see what new features will be added. Another feature I use all the time is Circle to Search. Of course, it doesn't feel as AI as Gemini, but it's extremely useful. As I'm building out this studio space, as well as decorating the rest of my apartment, it's really helpful to be able to find furniture and decor and see where I can purchase it from. The Pixel Recorder app is filled with AI features as well. I use it often when I'm in meetings with clients or vendors, and it has the ability to automatically transcribe the recording and tag the different speakers and subjects. Everything is searchable with keywords, and there's even an AI summary function that gives you a bulleted list of all the topics discussed. And of course, the camera app also has AI features like Add Me as well as Video Boost. But personally, I think the Magic Editor is by far the most useful. There's a ton of new features that work really well. This reframe function allows the AI to crop and expand the image, and even allows you to change the aspect ratio. For example, if you took a landscape shot and you want to post a vertical version for social, it can help you do that by filling in the vertical space. Magic Eraser is even more powerful with the ability to reimagine portions of the image. Now, sometimes the AI generations are more believable than others, but this technology is undoubtedly awesome to have in your pocket. As you would expect, using this phone with the Pixel Watch and Pixel Buds Pro 2 is a seamless experience. You get great functionality across the board, and the recent updates have really improved the usability for certain apps, especially for the Pixel Buds Pro 2, because when they first came out, it was kind of buggy. For example, sometimes connectivity and noise cancellation would be flaky on one of the earbuds, while the other one would be fine. And also, there was little to no integration with Gemini. But now you're able to talk to Gemini through the buds, and all connectivity issues have been resolved. However, I will note that the fit in my ears are still not perfect. I've tried a couple of the different tips and orientations, but over time they still tend to get loose. I've never had a bud actually fall out of my ears, but it just gets to that uncomfortable point where I'm scared to move my head too hard. One negative aspect that persists is this thudding sound when you're running or jumping. It's hard to describe, but it's almost like the noise cancellation feature is trying to overcompensate for your movements. I've never had this with other buds, and it could just be due to the way it fits in my ears. So if you have these buds, let me know if you experience that as well. As amazing as the Pixel 9 Pro XL is, there are a few things that definitely need improvement. It's no secret that the Google Tensor chip is not nearly as powerful as Qualcomm or Apple equivalents. And in day-to-day use, you honestly don't notice it. The UI is fluid and AI features are fast to process. But if you're a heavy user and someone who likes to play a lot of games, for example, then you'll definitely notice the difference. And when you're editing some videos or trying to export some 50 megapixel photos, then it starts to slow down. Another area that can use improvement is the battery. Battery life is overall okay with 5 to 7 hours of screen on time, but it's pretty inconsistent depending on what I'm doing that day. And if I need to top off in the middle of the day, the charging speeds are also not the fastest. So for the next iteration, I really hope they'll implement super fast charging and improve on their wireless charging speeds as well. Okay, so if you're in the market for a new smartphone, then I think the Pixel 9 Pro XL is definitely still worth considering. Compared to the previous generations, the issues like weak modems, overheating, and the hollow feeling in the screen have all been resolved. This is seriously the most refined and polished device that Google has made. And if a clean UI, powerful AI, and a top-tier camera system are important to you, then it's pretty much a no-brainer. And the best part about buying a phone that's already been out for a few months is the fact that with software updates, all of those early bugs have already been fixed. And when it comes to the Pixel series, you know that this phone is even better now than it was when it first came out. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this device, and I'll try to answer them in the comments below. And if you have this device, let me know if you would recommend it. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. That's it for this video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to support my channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.